Ms. Plaskett is recognized for 7 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This amendment would strike reconciliation instructions to the Ways and Means Committee and the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Together, these committees have jurisdiction over programs that protect federal agencies from unlawful spending freezes, shield nonpartisan, hardworking civil servants from unfair attacks and firing, and prevent wannabe oligarchs from gaining access to federal fiscal databases or financial systems of record. Listen, we have heard so much ad nauseum about the Department of Government Efficiency's DOGE. It's all everybody ever talks about. It was created by an executive order on January 20th, we know this year, and it has been violating federal law ever since. There are innumerable lawsuits by groups, by unions, hardworking unions, individuals, organizations against the actions of this particular construction of our president. As aggressive as it can be, Elon Musk DOGE has flailed through every agency it can, disregarding established statutes, flouting basic privacy protections. Its official website consists of one sentence. The Department of Government Efficiency, the people voted for major reform. I think the people voted for the cost of living, for concern about their safety, about what was happening at the border, about the effectiveness of government to protect them, to advance them, for them to have the American dream. I don't think people voted for major reform within government agencies. DOGE actions include deleting agencies, unlawfully canceling congressionally authorized funds, which violate the constitutions. Now, the hurt that is happening to the federal workers, everyone is looking at these federal workers and thinking that that's not them, that that may not affect them as individuals in their everyday life. Slashing government contributions to those individuals who work there's health insurance by shifting to voucher models, raising federal employee retirement contributions while giving nothing in return, eliminating FERS supplemental retirement payments, jeopardizing retirement security, converting new federal employees to at-will status unless they accept higher FERS contribution, changing annuity calculations by using the average of the highest 3 salary years to the highest 5 salary years to reduce retirement payouts, eliminating TSP fund subsidies, the list goes on. Now, this is all being done by disrespecting and threatening federal workers, individuals who have dedicated their lives to working for the American good. We think of these as just some unnamed people, but these are individuals who work in each one of our districts. These are individuals who work here in Washington, who are working on behalf of the American people. We know about the fork in the road email to more than 2 million federal employees, threatening mass layoffs and offering a very brief window for them to resign. Now, my colleagues are going to tell you how wonderful this is, that he is uncovering waste and fraud, abuse in the federal government. I thought that was our job. I thought that what Congress was supposed to do. So we talk about individuals who don't want to work, who are lazy, who need to get off of the government dole. That sounds like us. If we want Elon Musk to do our job, why don't we give him the $5.3 billion in discretionary funding that goes to the legislative branch and just give it away, and all of you go home. Everybody wants to get to their children. They want to go home. They're tired. People of America elected us to do a job. If that means us being here all weekend, that's what you signed up for. That's what you're going to do. You're the ones who are supposed to, we're the ones who are supposed to uncover fraud, not Elon Musk. If you want him to do your job, stop being lazy. Give him our money and let him do that. But the Constitution has said that that's our job. Article 1 of the Constitution says that it is this legislature's job to find fraud and abuse. And actually, we do fund that. The Government Accountability Office has said that there are losses from fraud in the amount of $233 billion to $521 billion in federal government each year. So why don't we uncover that? How about the PPP loans that many of our colleagues took that may have not been used properly? Are we investigating that? We're not investigating that. We want to investigate individuals who are doing their job at NIH. We want to talk about people who are in sub-Saharan Africa, ensuring that young men do not become a part of Al-Qaeda because they're getting a little bit of food. Those are the things that we're worried about. We're worried about children getting school lunches and that their parents may not have worked as hard as we think they're supposed to work, so they shouldn't have those school lunches anymore. That's the things that we're afraid about. How about let's going after what the Government Accountability Office, which the latest legislative branch supports and funds, has actually uncovered? Because as far as DOGE is going, so far they have only found $7 billion in abuse, and at the rate that they're going, they're only going to find $45 billion a year. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of government money. And who knows what this individual is doing with the data, the information that he's finding, with the conflict of interest that he has. He has built nothing. He has bought everything. And he is buying this country as well. I reserve the balance of my time.
The general reserves. Is there a member who would like to claim the time in opposition to the amendment? Chair recognizes Mr. Grothman for 7 minutes.
Thanks. A lot of what was just said really didn't go to the guts of the amendment, but I feel I got to respond to it anyway. President Trump won his election in part because I think the people wanted somebody to take a fresh look at our government. And I am pleased with what DOGE has come up with already. I look forward to more things on my personal level. I look forward to what they're going to do with the Department of Defense. I think right now our Department of Defense is still, to a degree, prepared to fight World War II. And I think there are some fresh comments from people who have a great reputation because of financial success and otherwise that would indicate that a lot of that money could be wasteful. And anybody who's honest would say that we are not going to take a fresh look at the Department of Defense without President Trump and people like Elon Musk who are going to look at things from a different perspective. I also want to point out with regard to pollution, if we want a cleaner air or cleaner water in this world, the number one thing to do is to make sure we manufacture more stuff in the United States of America, right? If you want clean air, clean water, we want to produce more in America. There are friends, but less in China, less in India, less in Brazil, less in other countries. Now, as far as this amendment is concerned, it would be a disaster, both for the individual and for the business community. You are looking at massive increases in the marginal rate for small businesses going up to 43.4% as we let the small business deduction expire. That would be a disaster. We also have to remember we are competing on a global market. If we want to make things in this country, and my belief is strong that America is a wealthy country because they produce things. We're not wealthy because we have a lot of law firms. We're not wealthy because we have a lot of big box stores that we all shop at them. We're wealthy because we have a great manufacturing sector. And if we let these tax cuts expire, it's going to be devastating for the manufacturers of this country, put them one more time as a disadvantage compared to people in other parts of the world. So in any event, it is vital, just from the tax standpoint, that, and not to mention, would result in a massive Great Depression as every family around in America, any family that is paying taxes, is going to have their taxes go up. As their disposable income drops, you're going to, like I said, you're going to cause the country to go into a great recession that we can't afford. I think to a certain extent, this amendment comes down to the fundamental difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party looks at money that people make and they say, if only I could spend this, think of all the wonderful things we could do. The Republican Party, being the party of freedom, says that if you work hard for something, it's yours, and you can spend it however you want to spend it. So that comes to the guts of this amendment. I will point out that I think the Democrats, when they had all three under President Biden, could have done some of these things on their own. They didn't do it because even President Biden knew that if what happened to taxes is what would happen if this amendment passed, it would be a complete disaster. But thank you.
The gentleman yields. Ms. Plaskett is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you. I'm glad Mr. Grothman, my colleague, has talked about people working for their money. I know that that's something that's very important to him when he talks about his district and individuals receiving welfare, receiving SNAP, receiving school lunches. So I know that many of my colleagues have given statistics of individuals in their district and how much they're going to lose. I don't think that's necessary to share that 30,000 who are in Mr. Grothman's district who relies on SNAP may not receive it. But I too have been a Republican. I served under George W. Bush's administration as a Republican. And I think the most important part of the Republican Party is not just freedom, which I think is very important to Democrats as well, but to be fiscally responsible. And what we're doing right now is not fiscally responsible. We are blowing up the debt with this budget that we are putting out here. We are causing people to go off of subsidies and support that we are giving, which in the end is going to cost us more when people are not being fed, when people are not given skill sets, when people are not being taught how to take care of themselves, which many of these programs do. We are making ourselves more at risk by the cuts that we are putting in here, and that is not fiscal responsibility. I yield back, and I urge my colleagues to vote yes on the amendment.